Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and thank you for tuning in to Canal Algérie's nightly news. Here are tonight's top stories. The President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, extends sincere condolences following the death of the previous Finance Minister, Abdelkarim Harshawi. The Constitutional Court announces the official and final list of the presidential candidates, and 3 are officially in the presidential race. The assassination of the head of Hamas's political bureau, Ismail Haniyeh, dominates the international scene, and Algeria strongly condemns the heinous act while extending condolences to the Palestinian people. Disapproving reactions of the French recognition of the Moroccan autonomy plan on the issue of Western Sahara continue to flock in, and the foreign minister reaffirms that this new position hinders the peace efforts to resolve the issue. Welcome back. We begin with tonight's main story, where the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, extended condolences following the death of the previous Finance Minister, Abdelkarim Harshawi, adding that he received the news with great sadness and deep sorrow. Facing this painful ordeal, the President of the Republic extended sincere condolences and profound compassion to the late's family, praying Allah Almighty to grant him mercy and to welcome him in his vast paradise, and to grant his close ones patience. Indeed, to Allah we belong, and to him we shall return. Ahead of the major event awaiting the country, namely the presidential elections on September the 7th, the final list of candidates has been announced. Yusuf Awshish of the Front of Socialist Forces, or FFS, Abdelmajid Tebboune, independent candidate, Abdel Ali Hassani from the Society of Peace Movement, MSP. Let's have a listen to the President of the Constitutional Court, Amr Bilhaj.
بعد المداولة
The Constitutional Court decided that 3 appeals are accepted in form but rejected due to lack of foundation. The 4th one was rejected after not being submitted within the legal deadline. Moreover, the Constitutional Court decided to validate this final list of candidates for the presidential elections scheduled for September the 7th, classified in an alphabetic order in accordance with the text of Law 59 of the regulations governing the work of the Constitution belt as follows. Firstly, Yusuf Awshish, representing the Socialist Forces Party, Tebboune Abdelmajid as an independent candidate, and Hassani Sharif for the Society Peace Movement. The decision of the Constitutional Court will be transmitted to the General Secretary of the Government for it to be published in the official journal. And finally, the court will notify those concerned.
After the announcement of the final list of candidates was made, a press conference was held by 2 members of the court, namely Misbah Minas and Layla Aslawi, on the process of the examination and processing of the candidates' files. Our own Saida Mayouf was there and brought back the following.
We studied all appeals, and as the President of the Court stated, we worked from Saturday to Tuesday consistently. It was an open working meeting. Once we finished the process, we had collective deliberation. In other words, no member has worked independently. Everyone worked together under the control and the follow-up of the President of the Court. 4 appeals were rejected for being unfounded, while 1 was rejected for exceeding the deadline.
Now that we have their names, let's discover their paths in these portraits of the 3 candidates for the top position in the country. The beginning is with Yusuf Awshish, as listed in Arabic alphabetical order. He is the first Secretary General of the Front of Socialist Forces, FFS. More with Ines Killo.
Born on January 29, 1983 in Bourni, where he attended school until he passed his baccalaureate in 2003. The same year, he joined the University of Algiers, where he continued his studies at the Faculty of Political Sciences, graduating with a degree in Political Science with a major in International Relations. While at university, Yusuf Awshish became involved in trade union activities. After graduating, he worked as a journalist in the print media from 2008 to 2012 and a parliamentary attaché from 2012 to 2017. Within the Socialist Forces Front, FFS, Youssef Aouchiche joined the party at the age of 19. Since then, he has held a number of positions within the party. He was elected first Secretary of Algiers University Section between 2005 and 2007, National Secretary for Associations between 2011 to 2013, National Secretary for Information and Communication from 2013 to 2016, National Secretary for Organization from 2016 to 2017, and as acting First National Secretary twice in 2014 and 2016. In November, after successfully leading the FFS list in local elections, he was elected President of the Popular Assembly of Tizi Ouzou Province. On July 16, 2020, he was appointed first Secretary of the FFS. He was re-elected once again to head Tizi Ouzou's Popular Assembly, after which he won in the 2022 senatorial elections and was elected Senator on February 5, 2022. And was re-elected head of the FFS at the 6th Congress held in December 10, 2022.
Moving on to the second portrait, which is about the current president, Abdelmajid Tebboune, who is running for a re-election as an independent candidate. Manal Maafu.
Abdelmajid Tebboune, the current president of the Algerian Democratic Republic and the free candidate for a second term, he has charted a path beyond traditional political norms to create a unique and distinctive model of governance, drawing inspiration from the spirit of the November Revolution. His journey started in the town of Meshria in Ama province, where he was born on November 17, 1945. From a young man with a passion for learning, he evolved into a statesman, guiding Algeria towards a promising future. He graduated from the National School of Administration in the 1970s and embarked on a career in local administration, serving in various roles as Secretary General and Governor in several provinces, where his contributions to development are well recognized by the local communities. Tebboune's name became associated with key ministerial positions, particularly the Ministry of Housing. He launched major housing programs, notably the AADL program, which became a successful housing model by 2017. After being appointed Prime Minister, his statements about separating money from politics caused many to view his approach as bold and sign of a desire to correct the country's course. Tebboune's leadership qualities became evident as he demonstrated unwavering commitment to Algeria's interests. At a time when Algeria was teetering on the brink of collapse, the pressing question was who would save the nation. The answer came in 2019 when people elected Abdelmajid Tebboune as president, a choice born out of the Blessed Hirak movement. During his tenure, Tebboune managed to amend the constitution, complete the institutional building process, hold corrupt individuals accountable, and recover billions of stolen dollars, all while establishing a strong economy on solid foundations. This was achieved against the backdrop of a global economic crisis, complex geopolitical tensions, and the COVID-19 pandemic. Algeria's revenues took an unprecedented upward course since independence. Algeria emerged as the third largest economy in Africa. What was accomplished was not just a victory for Tebboune, but for the people of Algeria. Tebboune never severed his connection with the people. Instead, he strengthened it through candid communication in regular media appearances and direct meetings with civil society representatives. His leadership became so significant that it faced counter-revolutions aimed at derailing his progress. Under his guidance, Algeria's voice on the international stage gained renewed respect and authority.
The third presidential candidate is Abdelali Hassani Sharif, head of the Peace Movement Society MSP. The last portrait with Ines Kilo.
Head of Society for Peace Movement since last year, Abdelali Hassani Sharif is now applying for the country's highest office. Born in 1966 in Magara, in Msila province, he comes from a family of mujahideen or war veterans. He obtained a state engineering diploma in civil engineering in 1992 and a degree in legal sciences and administrative law in 2004. His commitment and activism within the university community in the 80s and 90s marked the beginnings of his political career. He was a member of the province's Popular Assembly of Vimsila from 2002 to 2007, then held various positions including that of Vice President of the National People's Assembly between 2007 and 2012. He headed the MP's Organization and Digitization Department at national level between 2013 and 2023, before taking over as head of the movement last March. He was chosen by his party as a candidate for anticipated presidential election on September 7, 2024. Abdelali Hassani Sharif stands out for his approach to dialogue as a tool for resolving crises. His vision for Algeria is that of a strong and prosperous nation, reflected in his electoral program under the slogan Opportunity. He aspired to build a united, moderated and balanced Algeria.
In other developments, representing the President of the Republic, the Premier Nadir Al-Arbawi arrived in the Mauritanian capital Nouakchott to take part in the inauguration ceremony of the President of the brotherly country of the Islamic Republic of Mauritania, Mohammed Ould Sheikh Al-Ghazawani, to take place in a few hours from now. The Minister of Foreign Affairs and the National Community Abroad, Ahmed Attaf, held a press conference in which he discussed a set of crucial dossiers. Attaf emphasized that Algeria condemns the assassination of the president of the political bureau of Hamas, the martyr Ismail Haniyeh, in Tehran, qualifying it as a heinous and treacherous operation by the Zionist forces, violating the most basic human, legal, political, and moral rules, adding that Algeria extends sincere condolences and sympathy to the brotherly Palestinian people in face of this ordeal. Here's a statement of our foreign minister.
We firmly condemn the cowardly and abject Zionist attack that contradicts all basic human, legal, political and moral rules. The policy of scorched land is erected by the Zionist entity as a strategy and approach based on escalation at all levels: Gaza, West Bank, Yemen, Lebanon, Syria and Iran. It is indeed the scorched land policy, as if the ultimate objective is to bring the entire region into wars that only benefit the Zionist occupier on the expense of the security and stability that the region is trying to reach. Algeria extends sincere condolences and sympathy to the brotherly Palestinian people facing this ordeal, shared with the Algerian people.
In the same setting, Attaf evoked the new French position, affirming that considering the Moroccan autonomy plan as the one and only solution to the issue of Western Sahara is a rejection of any effort aimed at finding the alternative solution to this issue, in accordance with international resolutions, particularly those of the Security Council on the Development and Adoption, in which France participated. Attaf underlined that the French president previously informed the President of the Republic of this turnaround vis-à-vis the Sahrawi issue, justifying it as a means to relaunch the settlement process. The answers of the President of the Republic to the justifications of the French President were strict and precise, describing the new French position as far from being inspired by those previously announced. Hamas announced the assassination of the head of its political bureau, Ismail Haniyeh, and one of his personal guards in a Zionist attack on his residence in Tehran. This came after he took part in the inauguration ceremony of the new Iranian president. The full story with Minisa Kabash.
These are the last footage of the late political leader of Hamas, Ismail Haniyeh, taken during the investiture ceremony of the new Iranian president before being assassinated in a Zionist raid targeting his residence. This heinous act was condemned by the majority of the international community. The president of the Palestinian state, Mahmoud Abbas, qualified this attack as a cowardly attack and a dangerous evolution, calling on Palestinians to remain united and strong. As for the Palestinian movements in the West Bank occupied Palestinian territories by the Zionist entity, they've called for a general strike and protest movements. The late Hania had indeed an honorable path as he joined the Hamas in 1987 and became known in 2006 by holding the position of Prime Minister of the Palestinian Authorities after his party won. He had already lost 3 kids and 4 grandkids last April, murdered by the Zionist occupation forces during an aerial strike on the refugee camp of Shati in Gaza. Murdering political and military leaders across the world is only another coward strategy adopted by the Zionist occupier, and this in front of the loud silence of the international community, incapable of putting an end to this crime being committed against the Palestinian people.
Now to the press conference of the Minister of Foreign Affairs, an opportunity to tackle several regional and international topics: Mali, Palestine, and even relations with France. Further insight with Melissa Kepesh.
The French approach, which claims to aim at opening a new chapter in Franco-Moroccan relations, is not even considered as an agreement because it is neither legally, politically, nor morally valid. It was concluded between 2 parties to the destruction of a third party, namely the Sahrawi people, the sole holders of the right and the cause, who found their support and their shield in international legitimacy. It is an agreement in which the powerful combine their interests while sacrificing the rights of those who have no power other than that of law and legitimacy. Despite its objectives, which serve the colonial reality in Western Sahara, it is impossible for the French position to change the international legal effect of the Sahrawi question, which remains to this day in international law a question of decolonization and will remain on the agenda of the UN Decolonization Committee. It will continue to be referred to the Security Council, will continue to benefit from a UN mission to organize a referendum, and will continue to have its own personal envoy from the UN Secretary General, whose mission should be to bring about a political solution guaranteeing the Sahrawi people's right to self-determination.
The full details of the press conference of the Minister of Foreign Affairs and the national community abroad on several issues with Manal Mahfouz.
During this press conference, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and National Community Abroad, Ahmed Attaf, addressed several pressing issues, particularly the situation in the Sahel. He emphasized that the security of this region is closely linked to that of Algeria. Speaking on the Malian crisis, he underscored that Algeria has consistently advocated for a political rather than military solution in this brotherly country to preserve its sovereignty and territorial integrity. In a conflict between brothers, the solution cannot be military, it must be political. The Algiers Agreement was beneficial for this neighboring country as it helped preserve its sovereignty and territorial integrity. Any deviation from this path would therefore have a negative impact on all the progress made. Regarding the situation in Palestine, the Algerian foreign minister highlighted the dangerous developments in the Palestinian territories and Algeria's relentless efforts to secure an urgent ceasefire and deliver humanitarian aid to the population facing an open-air genocide. Consultations with the Palestinian authorities are ongoing in Ramallah. Algeria's initiatives to end the Zionist entity's aggression in the Palestinian territories and deliver humanitarian aid are numerous, particularly since Algeria became a non-permanent member of the UN Security Council. Palestine remains our major concern. We have repeatedly called for an emergency Security Council meeting to address the Palestinian issue. Although we secured a resolution for a ceasefire in Gaza, it has not been implemented. The Algerian mission of the Security Council has done remarkable work and will resume its efforts in September when Slovenia, a country that has recognized Palestine, will assume the Council's presidency. Regarding President Tebboun's upcoming visit to Paris this fall, the Algerian foreign minister emphasized that Algeria is drawing all possible conclusions from the French stance on the Sahrawi issue. Algeria is drawing all possible conclusions from France's stance, which has recognized Morocco's alleged sovereignty over Western Sahara. President Tebboun's planned visit to Paris is part of these conclusions. At the end, Ahmed Attaf announced the launch of an African Union initiative at the UN to criminalize colonization, assuring that Algeria will be among its leading advocates, particularly within international organizations.
In the same context, this new French position was firmly rejected by Sahrawis themselves, who took to the streets for demonstrations this Wednesday in Sahrawi refugee camps. The decision was qualified as impartial and an obstacle to a peaceful and political solution to the conflict. Here's what Sahrawis declared.
The support of the Moroccan occupier is not new, but in fact a traditional position, as we should underline that the leader of this cause is the Sahrawi people, who's been fighting for the past 50 years to gain its independence and its right to self-determination.
Our position is clear. Questions of human rights must be discussed at the level of the United Nations. France's irresponsible position is condemnable. We support the resistance within the occupied Sahrawi territories, as France always supported colonial forces across the world.
France has always supported the Moroccan colonizer. Its decision wasn't surprising, as Sahrawis were always expecting the worst from France.
Another denouncing reaction, this time that of the Council of the Nation led by Saleh Goujil, that issued a statement expressing its support and appreciation for Algeria's decision to withdraw its ambassador to France following its recognition of the so-called Moroccan Plan for Autonomy as the sole basis for resolving the Western Sahara conflict within the framework of alleged Moroccan sovereignty. The Council stressed that Algeria, under the leadership of the President of the Republic, aligns its policies with its principles, pointing out that the French position constitutes a serious deviation from the ethics of political and diplomatic work and from the basics of international law and clear international charters regarding decolonization around the world, adding that this decision reflects disdain for the decisions of the International Court of Justice and its advisory bodies. It stressed that the neo-colonialism, like old imperialism, is a stupid student and confirms the accuracy of General Giap, the hero of the Battle of Dien Bien Phu in Vietnam, since it does not understand the rule of history, nor learns from the lessons of the past, and does not benefit from the present. Rather, it strives to repeat its atrocities against the right of oppressed peoples who yearn for a promising tomorrow by self-determination and all sovereignty. On the other end, part of the French political class also rejected this new French position. Our correspondent there, Afaf Bouchet, has the following.
We are very surprised because there's UN resolutions. Instead of calling for the UN's position, they took their own, which was never discussed. A debate must be established.
France was in support of the UN resolutions for self-determination. It was indeed shocking after letting this position and supporting the Moroccan position. The President of the Republic decided by himself, a decision that has political repercussions, as Algeria withdrew its ambassador, knowing that the relation of France with Africa has always been complicated.
I condemn this change of position that was taken without any debate. The Parliament has a role when it comes to foreign policy. Therefore, I think when it comes to changing a position that was established since the 70s, a debate is a must.
The foreign minister had another activity today where he received the Secretary General of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, Hussein Ibrahim Taha. The meeting allowed for the examination and discussion of issues and files that concern the OIC, topped by the Palestinian issue, in light of the latest developments in Gaza and consequences of the adopted escalation policy by the Zionist entity on many fronts in the region. Both parties tackled the preparations for the upcoming elections in the organization and discussed means to reinforce coordination and cooperation in different fields and on all levels. Also in cooperation, this time in energy, an understanding protocol was signed between Sonatrach, Sonalgas, and the Italian company Eni. It allows for joint market studies to be undertaken for the electricity project connection between the Algerian and Italian networks. This is possible through marine cable aiming at supplying the Italian and European market with electricity. This strategic project will be the first of its kind for the achievement of an energy center between Algeria and Europe. The signing of this protocol confirms the ambitions of Algeria and reinforcing its position as the main supplier of Europe in its field in energy and electricity. On to the operational report of the People's National Army's activity in the past week. In the context of the fight against terrorism, during a search and sweep operation in Ain Difla, a detachment of the People's National Army killed 3 terrorists in possession of 2 Kalashnikov submachine guns, 5 chargers, a quantity of ammunition, and various objects. In the same framework, detachments of the PNA intercepted 3 support elements to terrorist groups during separate operations across the national territory. The framework of the fight against organized crime, the continuation of the tireless efforts aimed at countering the scourge of drug trafficking in our country, combined detachments of the PNA intercepted in coordination with the different security services in operations across the military regions of 49 drug traffickers, and averted attempts to introduce 5 quintals and 13 kilograms of processed key through the borders with Morocco, while 208,900 psychotropic tablets were seized. In Tamnaras, Borj Mukhtar, in Saleh and Ingizam, detachments of the People's National Army arrested 103 individuals and seized 5 vehicles, 46 generators, 31 jackhammers, mixture of raw gold and stones, in addition to quantities of explosives, detonation tools, and other equipment used in illegal gold mining operations. On the other hand, 8 other individuals were arrested and 1 Kalashnikov submachine gun, 3 hunting rifles, 2,600 liters of fuel were seized during separate operations across the national territory. Similarly, border guards thwarted at the level of our national coast attempts at illegal immigration of 51 individuals aboard traditionally made boats, while 509 illegal immigrants of different nationalities were arrested across the national territory. The United Nations Security Council is holding an emergency session right now on the situation in the Middle East and the repercussions of the assassination of Ismail Haniyeh. And with that, we end tonight's bulletin. Thank you so much to our technicians and journalists, and thank you for watching. Good night.